Have you ever encountered a smile that sent a chill through you? Because something behind it felt false. Outwardly, the person may seem warm, polite, even showering you with sweet words, but your intuition whispers something is off. This is what Carl Jung called the shadow, the hidden unconscious, where jealousy, resentment, and insecurity are stored. Sooner or later, that shadow leaks out. Not in obvious ways, but through subtle, almost invisible signs that most people overlook. In today's society of masks, enemies don't always approach with daggers in their hands. More often they come with a smile and flattery. You will only recognize the truth if you pay attention to that faint discomfort inside, and if you observe the small actions that don't match their words. True character is never revealed in what someone performs before the crowd. It appears in the unguarded moments when the ego has no time to prepare. Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." To protect yourself, you must be willing to look at the shadows behind the smile. In this video, we'll uncover the most subtle signs that someone may secretly resent you, not to spread fear, but to help you live with greater awareness, confidence, and clarity without being blinded by masks. One of the clearest signs is disguised contempt hidden in jokes. They might smile, toss out a harmless tease that cuts into your weakness, and when you react, they dismiss it with, "Relax, I was just kidding." This isn't innocent humor, it's a psychological dagger wrapped in cheerful paper. Jung would call it the shadow breaking through envy and disdain leaking out through sarcasm. You can see this in everyday relationships. A coworker mocking your appearance, a friend belittling your achievements with jokes, or a family member comparing you to others under the guise of just teasing. Behind the smile is disdain, and once contempt appears, it destroys trust faster than any blunt criticism ever could. Remember, a harmless joke leaves both people laughing, but if you walk away feeling diminished or hurt, that is no longer playfulness, it's a warning sign. Another subtle sign is constant comparison. Someone who secretly resents you rarely attacks head-on. Instead, they slip into comparisons that make you feel you will never measure up. They might praise someone else in front of you. "Wow, A is amazing, always so perfect," implying you fall short. Or they repeatedly bring up others' accomplishments right after you've shared your own joy. Jung would call this a projection of the ego. Instead of facing their own insecurity, they offload it onto you, making you feel the same inadequacy they cannot tolerate within themselves. Their shadow doesn't allow genuine acknowledgement because your success becomes a mirror reflecting their lack. The effect of these comparisons is an invisible wound. Gradually, you begin to doubt yourself, to wonder if you're truly enough. And that is the hidden purpose, to shake your confidence from the inside out. If you notice that every conversation leaves you unsettled or questioning your worth, take it as a clear signal. This person is not truly on your side. Another sign is subtle sabotage. A person who carries envy in their heart rarely attacks directly. Instead, they chip away at you through actions that seem accidental. They may forget to tell you an important detail, give misleading advice, or cause trouble precisely when you need stability the most. On the surface, it all looks like simple mistakes. But when those mistakes repeat themselves, always at sensitive moments, they are no longer coincidences. Jung observed that the shadow always seeks expression. In this case, it shows itself as a sabotage disguised as carelessness. The danger is that it's difficult to call out because everything can be explained away with two words, a mistake. Yet it is the pattern, the repetition that reveals the truth. You can see this clearly in the workplace. A colleague accidentally leaves out part of a document, forgets to pass on a message from your boss, or offers feedback that quietly pushes you off track. They don't knock you down outright, they erode your credibility piece by piece. And when failure comes, they are the first to express regret. Perhaps the most unsettling signal is their quiet pleasure in your failures. They will never say it aloud, but their eyes brighten, a smile slips through, or their strange silence says everything. When you stumble, instead of reaching out a hand, they stand back, sometimes even hiding their satisfaction beneath a mask of neutrality. Jung would explain this as the shadow at work. Your failure becomes food for their wounded ego, making them feel less small. They don't need to succeed themselves. It is enough for them to see you fall. This is a form of comparative happiness joy, not born from real accomplishment, but from watching someone else lose their light. In daily life, you notice it in subtle ways. You share that you missed an opportunity, and they accidentally smile. When you're down, they don't comfort you, but say, well, everyone goes through that. Behind the appearance of sympathy is concealed delight. And if you pay close attention, you'll see the light of true friendship never shines in their eyes when you succeed. It only flickers faintly when you fail. Another sign is silent competition. Those who secretly resent you rarely accept being equals. They must always one-up you, even in small things. You mention a trip and they immediately add, I've been there too, but even farther, even better. You share a work achievement and they counter, that's nothing, everyone does that. What began as a story to connect turns into an invisible contest. According to Jung, this is the ego's defense mechanism. Instead of admitting admiration or even feelings of inferiority, they turn it into comparison to preserve the illusion of control. Their shadow won't allow peace in the face of your light. Your brightness only makes their darkness harder to ignore. In everyday life, this hidden competition leaves you drained after each interaction. Instead of feeling heard, you are forced into an unspoken contest. Over time, you realize around these people, success is never celebrated. Joy is never whole, because to them, you are always a rival, never an ally. Another sign, often well disguised, is half-hearted support. They may congratulate you when you achieve something, but their voice is flat, their eyes empty. They may show up when you need them, but without true presence, the words polite, the actions cold. Behind the curtain of courtesy is indifference, as though they are fulfilling a duty rather than genuinely sharing in your joy or sorrow. Jung would call this a form of the shadow's disguise envy, not strong enough to explode into attack, but not yet transformed into authentic affection. It lives in between, half maintaining the bond, half withdrawing from it. This lukewarm energy leaves you confused. Did I do something wrong, or do they simply not care? You'll notice it most during important moments. When you need encouragement, they show up but detached. When you win, they offer congratulations, but quickly change the subject. These are signs that deep down they cannot fully share in your feelings because their shadow won't allow it. Another more subtle sign is false patience. They may sit across from you, nodding, smiling, but their eyes drift elsewhere. They pretend to listen, yet in truth, they are only waiting for a moment to redirect the conversation back to themselves. Their replies come late, flat, sometimes off topic, revealing that their interest is nothing more than a thin facade. From a Jungian perspective, this is the shadow trying to keep outer harmony while hiding inner irritation. Instead of admitting, I don't like you, or I don't want to listen, they create a mask of patience, maintaining the appearance of kindness while concealing the truth. But the shadow cannot stay hidden forever. The emptiness in their eyes and the coldness in their tone eventually give it away. You may notice this in everyday conversations. When you share something important, they appear attentive, but later remember nothing. When you ask for genuine feedback, they respond mechanically as if from a script. Over time, you sense their presence is not meant for connection, but for appearances. And that becomes the hidden distance, the distance of a soul not truly with you. Another sign, often disguised as care, is control dressed as love. They may say, "I only want what's best for you," then interfere in major decisions, planting seeds of doubt, so you return to them for reassurance. They appear concerned, but beneath it lies a desire to maintain control, keeping you from walking confidently on your own. In Jungian terms, this is the shadow at work, when the fear of abandonment grows too strong. Instead of facing their insecurity, they turn love into a chain. Their ego feels safe only when others remain bound within their sphere of influence. Concern then becomes a tool of power rather than an act of understanding. In real life, you notice this when every choice you make is shaded by their doubt. "Are you sure you can handle that? I don't think you're capable." It sounds like care, but it is really a way to plant dependence. And if every step, every decision at work, every small action in life must pass through their unspoken approval, then it is no longer genuine care. It is a golden cage shining on the outside, but inside your freedom is limited. A deeper sign, often dismissed, is gossip and distortion behind your back. Those who harbor envy rarely confront openly their ego is too fragile to endure direct conflict. Instead, they spread suspicion through half-truths, carefully edited words, or misleading context. They may take something you said and retell it differently so that others misunderstand. Or they release fragments of information never entirely false, but never fully honest either. The danger is that these distortions easily seep into others' minds, wrapped in just enough plausibility to be believed. Jung would explain this as the shadow's way of relieving inner insecurity. They cannot tolerate seeing you respected or admired because your light reflects their sense of lack. Instead of facing their inferiority, they try to dim your light so their own smallness is less exposed. Twisting the truth becomes their attempt to regain a sense of control in a world where they always feel left behind. In real life, you see the impact when a colleague suddenly looks at you differently after a casual conversation with them, or when a circle of friends grows distant without clear reason. It often begins with words that have been carefully reshaped to serve a hidden motive. The damage is not only to reputation, but to the very atmosphere you live in, filling it with doubt and unease. Jung would warn that when the shadow spreads through whispers and backroom narratives, it can erode trust more quickly than any open confrontation because it quietly eats away at the foundation of human connection. Another subtle sign is emotional asymmetry. When you share good news, they cannot offer genuine joy. When you struggle, they cannot give true comfort. Their reactions feel programmed, polite smiles, empty. Congratulations, hollow words of sympathy. Beneath it all lies a quiet indifference. They do not want real connection because connection would mean acknowledging your true value. Jung would call this a severing from the shadow. Unable to face their own envy or insecurity, they hide behind a mask of composure. Yet this false calm only creates distance. You feel the invisible wall between you. It is not your imagination. Their energy betrays their words. In everyday life, the difference is striking. A real friend may not know fancy words, but their eyes light up when they see you. By contrast, someone hiding behind social niceties leaves you empty, as if your joy or pain never truly touches them. And that emptiness is the loudest warning sign of all. One final and often the most revealing sign is nonverbal betrayal. Words can be carefully chosen, but the body does not lie. Someone who secretly resents you may say kind things, but their eyes avoid yours. Their smile is forced. Their voice shifts unnaturally. Their body stiffens, arms fold, hands clench, all exposing what their mouth tries to conceal. For Jung, the unconscious always seeks expression. The shadow may be silenced in speech, but it leaks through other channels. Through eyes, gestures, the rhythm of breath. This is why your intuition often senses truth. Before your mind does, you hear their praise, yet feel unease. because energy never pretends. You can see this in the smallest moments: a friend who smiles but whose eyes never soften, a coworker who congratulates you with a flat, lifeless tone. Behind the polite mask, the shadow reveals itself, and Jung would remind us, when the body has spoken, trust what you feel. Intuition is the gift of the unconscious, whispering the truth. In a world of masks, some smiles carry no warmth, and some compliments hide contempt. Jung teaches us that the shadow never disappears. It only waits for its chance to surface in subtle acts, fleeting glances. If you are awake enough to notice, you will no longer be blindsided by the mask. Instead of feeling betrayed, you will learn to keep healthy distance, protect your heart, and choose relationships that truly nourish your soul. If these reflections made you pause, take it as a reminder: your intuition always knows the truth, if only you are brave enough to listen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so together we can continue exploring Jung's psychology, decoding the subtle signs beneath the surface, and transforming that insight into strength for living awake in a world of illusions. This journey will help you not only recognize the shadow in others, but also understand and reconcile with the darkness within yourself.